Combat, it's killing. That's what it is. And it's done in an environment that is often as difficult as you can possibly imagine. Extremes of climate. It's uncivilized, and women can't do it. The requirements for strength and endurance render them unable to do it. Doesn't work.
I knew the moment I stepped in over there at Bragg, I was like, we are being watched and something bigger is shaking, and I guarantee it.
You're looking at each other. Is she as tough as I am?
There was a bunch of female alphas.
You're doing this for every other woman that's going to come after you. Any argument that a man's going to have about why women shouldn't be allowed to be here, don't contribute one iota.
I thought, war? What are you doing here?
It was a man's club. Like, that is the lion's den that we just walked into.
For 8 years of a war, we didn't see the other half of a target vote.
You bring a white man in a very intimidating US uniform. A lot of women will feel uncomfortable.
We're gonna go into that darkness and just be like, you need this done? Okay, let's go.
This is not what I was expecting at all.
Nobody cares if you're a man or a woman. You are defined by your actions purely.
Having this one woman on target freed up probably 4 guys.
I would have liked to have seen that play out a little bit.
I start to wonder if you're there too long, if whatever gains you made start to erode themselves, and soon you leave in the same place you started. What does winning look like?
War's not stopping. How long has America been around? How many wars we been in? Conflicts? Only thing changing is the date.
All right. Welcome back.
MisFitNation. The MisFitNation Show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation Show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_MisfitNation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. Welcome back to the Misfit Nation Show, a special Monday morning before work show. I know some of you are driving, so please don't be watching the screen while you're driving. I do not take liability for that. We have a good one today, a good one to get your Monday going, a good one to get your week going. But first, let's pause in remembrance of Lieutenant Helio Armando Garcia III, South Fulton Police Department, Georgia, and to watch April 16th, 2025. Lieutenant Garcia is also a United States Marine Corps veteran. Keep his friends, his family, his peers in your thoughts and prayers as they go through this tough time. Now, Let's welcome Mr. Danny Archer, a man who served his country for 27 years in the United States Army, and now has founded Equine Valor Project. So without further ado, we're going to get this guy on here. Welcome, Danny.
Thank you, man. This is pretty cool, and that's quite an intro you got going there.
Thanks, brother. Thank you. Yeah. We talked a little bit in the green room, trying to get our voices together and hear the quiet storm between us. I just gave a one-sentence introduction on you, Danny. If you don't mind, tell the Misfit Nation a little bit more about you, from as far back as you want to go to how we got to this point.
Okay, so joined the military. It was in the 2nd Ranger Battalion out of Fort Lewis, Washington. Did that for just under 6 years. Was when I was in Jordan, whenever the USS Cole got bombed. Looked like we were going to do something. So this is pre 9/11, post Somalia. So there was this like gap where everything was just hard training all the time. And fast forward, the USS Cole gets bombed. Looks like we're going to do something. We get shut down. Boom. Go to OCS flight school. End up doing I got frustrated, and I was like, you know what? If I'm going to stay in, I gotta think long term. So we were there with the 160th. I did a interview, got some letters of recommendation, blah blah. Got picked up, with OCS flight school, and then assessed out of flight school and got picked up and spent the last 19 years there. Did a lot of the stuff, right? I was a commissioned dude for 14 years, and instead of retire in 2016, I reverted and became a warrant, which is kind of a non-traditional career path. So I was enlisted through E6, commissioned through a major company command, and instead of put it down and call it a career, I reverted, became a warrant, and did another 7.5 years. So here's the deal, right? Like, you go through, do a bunch of stuff, right? Like you see that, right? You know what it was. Did all the crazy stuff, and eventually got medically retired out of the military. Conglomeration of things, but one of those was PTSD. And so during that transition, right? So as soon as you're rowing, you're a member of the team, and you're getting after it. And then whenever you're kind of put on the bench, and I self-recognize pretty quick. If people that know me, that if I'm going to do something, I'm 140%. I don't believe in half-assing. So I'm either all in or I'm all out. And I have I was in the military for a long time. And back, there was a period of the time where guys were doing rotations all the way up to the last day, to the last month, and then come from back, overseas, come back clear, and then boom, 30 days later, they're out of the Army. And then we wonder why, we had a suicide problem. Well, you throw that, that coin term now, loss of purpose and all that other stuff. But I self-identified pretty quick that I was probably going to struggle, right? And I needed to do and find something. And I had no idea that horses was going to be the vehicle for me. And so my daughter was riding at a place here in Savannah, Georgia. So I retired out of a third of the 160th down here in Hunter Army Airfield in Savannah, Georgia. She was riding and volunteering at a place. And, my back's all jacked up. My knees are all jacked up. The thought of riding a horse and jostling around makes me want to vomit. Like, that's honest, right? So, you watch Yellowstone or Dances with Wolves or whatever it is, and you're like, man, that looks sweet, but there's no way. Well, anyways, so I had no interest. I love animals, but like horses, like, nah, not for me. And then they're out and they're rolling up this hose. And it's so funny. I tell this story. That's always this hose that started everything. They're watering the horses and they're reeling in this hose, and it gets outside of the wheel and it gets all chewed up. And I'm sitting there in my truck, pissing off on my phone. And, I look up and I'm like, ugh. And I'm like, all right, my older compulsions or whatever kicks in. I jump out, go fix the hose. I'm like, move, and pull it out and reel it back in nice and tight. And then I'm standing there in mud, and I'm like, damn it. So the next time I'm like, you know what? Next time I'm going to wear different shoes. Well, the next time I come, I like to do things and I work outside. And animals like, you know what? I'm just going to start helping. That evolves into one day I'm in a stall and I'm feeding this horse. And all of a sudden we have this like kind of weird moment, you know, like I didn't know any of the power of horses and all of that queer, you know, that weird, like crazy science, right? And he's like staring at me and I'm staring at him. And it's like he's honestly looking at my soul. And it was powerful. And I was like, holy crap. So, you know, I kind of like, we had this moment, right? So next time I'm getting a little head snuggles and stuff like that. And I get out and I talk to the lady that was running the place and told her what happened. And, you know, I was like, you know, she starts telling me crazy stuff like, you know, the horse's heart is 5 times bigger than ours. So whenever you get near them, they can feel your energy. And what will happen is your body will naturally sense that and your heart rate will slow and match their heart rate. And then your body naturally starts to create serotonin, not only for the horse, but for yourself. And it's so mutually beneficial, you almost get kind of in tune with this horse. And the other aspect that I've learned along the process is because the horse demands 100% of your attention because it is a massive animal, right? Which forces you as a human to live in the present right now. And because you're having these positive interactions and, you know, all this stuff, you're like, you know, everybody that I bring out, they're just like overwhelmed. What they don't understand is that interaction is creating new synapses in the brain. And say you have this chunk of trauma that you just can't bypass, and it affects every day, every thought, whatever it is. Well, this new interaction with this horse is causing that to bypass and live in the present. And now it's almost rewiring your brain. And so after a certain amount of time, guess what? Now this becomes your happy place. And it's not even intended. So after that, I was like, hey, look, have you ever had a veterans program? She's like, well, I had something pre-COVID, but, you know, it died, you know, because she didn't know any veterans. She didn't know anything about me because I don't really talk about stuff. And I go, well, I'm a veteran. I know, you know, thousands of people. Like, is that something you'd be curious or interested in? She's like, oh, absolutely. So that evolves to, you know, I was going through at that point my medical separation, and I had what's called a physical evaluation board liaison officer, the PEBLO. His name is Mike Pinatello. And, you know, we had connected, right? You got to spill your guts out to a person and then he helps you with your paperwork and all that stuff. And I'm like, hey man, like you deal with a lot of veterans. Like, have you ever considered like equine therapy? He's like, what? No. I'm like, look, we're going to get this thing started. Like, why don't you come out? So he comes out. I get a couple of other guys to show up, and we start we have our first class. Like, I don't know, maybe it was not even a month later. And we start, and it's really good, but we can see where we kind of at some point are getting to where we need it to be a veteran focused facility. And eventually we get to a point where we have to kind of part ways to go and find what that is. And that's when we set up our own 501c3. The Equine Valor Project got its name. And I connected with an old 160th buddy that retired randomly in a Lowe's parking lot. And, you know, I've always, you know, you hear this, if you're on the right path, the universe just provides. Not to sound totally corny, but like, you know, if you're getting your ass kicked, you probably should turn left or to the right and shift, you know, direction. And I'm like, you know what? Hey, man, you know, his name's Scott Hurdom. I'm like, KP, everybody was like, I'm like, man, I bet he could probably use the horses. He's probably struggling. So I'm like, hey, KP, he comes over to my truck. We have a little session. Come to find out he's got his own farm. He's got like 10 horses. Well, it registers. Now, you know, now we're in the middle of this struggle. And I think back to that conversation. I cold call him. I'm like, hey, Kevin, like we're looking to potentially shift barns, but I need a place to kind of get guys with horses. And I'm like, would you be open to that? And so from that, it was just like the stars aligned. And now, you know, we've got access to his, you know, his big, beautiful barn with all these horses. And he has these horses called Gypsy Vanners. And which Gypsy Vanner, if you don't know, it looks like a Clydesdale, but it's a shorter version. It's short and stocky, but they're like like a Labrador Retriever of horses, which is almost like the perfect scenario. Because imagine you now have a horse that loves people, you know, loves attention, super calm and chill. And it's like the perfect vehicle. So what we ended up doing is like now, whenever I'll be like, hey, Nick, would you like to bring your, to join this program? And you're like, gonna be like, I'm like, hey, check it out. Bring your whole family out there. All right. Wear closed-toed shoes. There's enough horses for people. You can come out and everybody can experience this. And that has caused this to really start to grow. Nice. And now we're creating this small veteran community. And look, here's the deal. Like, is it therapeutic? Yes. But do I need you to come over there? And do I want to talk about all your stuff, your inner and outer boo-boos? I don't. Nobody does. I don't want to do that. Like, if you told me that that's what it was, I'll flip you the bird, tell you to F off, and I'd be out, right? So it's not that. Like, the whole point is and here's the deal. Now go back to that whole long time career, right? And then all of a sudden you're out. And now you lost your peer group. You lost your purpose. Right. You lost every task of every day that used to piss you off. But every one of those actions trained you or got you prepared for going to war. Right. And now, and that's why for us, like, I made this one post, and if like, I'm on social media a lot now, whatever. But I made this post about it, like, hey man, check it out. You want to know why you're an emotional idiot? It's because you were never able, you were trained, do not function on emotion. Emotion has no play in combat, right? Doesn't matter. You just lost your best buddy. Whatever catastrophic event happens, you still have to push forward, right? Yeah. And so, for us, in the 160th, we would do a mission, we would come back, we would debrief for an hour, and then whatever happened during that, and you chuck it in the box, throw it in the corner, get another grid coordinate, and we start working another target. Right? Like, rinse, repeat. And then so, you do that years and years and years of deployments. And then guess what? You have an accumulation of cardboard boxes filled up with all this junk that you never dealt with. And then guess what? You break away from the formation. And now the world slows down. The people that you work with are not like you. I could call you any name in the world and the Army, because we play heavy-handed with each other, and we would just laugh it off and move on, right? You do that in the civilian world, you're put in full-time timeout, right? So I recognize this. Anybody that knows me I am as unfiltered as can be, and I don't enjoy that, right? And so the Equine Valor Project has turned into this safe haven for people, because now you're lost and you're out and you're struggling. And guess what? Nobody's going to say, hey, you have to get, and I describe it like this. Everybody has a ticket on a roller coaster and you are plunging to the bottom. You don't have a choice. Doesn't matter what you did. Doesn't matter, the horrific or non-horrific things, whatever. You're still going to ride that roller coaster. And how the bottom of the dip you react is either the end or what changes the trajectory of the rest of your life, right? And if you ignore that, guess what? You're going to be pushing the red line pretty quickly. Yep. So, and not to pitch business, but I do mortgages now. And you're like, mortgages? It doesn't even make any sense. But like, I do this because I get to directly talk to a veteran, and I get to, my whole business mantra, be a good human, coach, teach, mentor. And during that process, if they're transitioning, they're moving, they're retiring, whatever it is, I get to ask the questions. What are your plans? What are you going to do? Oh, that sounds great. You want to go and do all these great things. What are you going to do for you? Because you were wired, no matter what, to make lemonade out of shit water, right? You're given the most terrible situation in the world, and all you know is make it work, right? And so you're normally going to get out and you're going to go get a job, and you think you have to do that for the next 20 to 30 years and make it work. And then that's whenever that starts, right? Even if you're highly successful, everybody's going to have this same problem because their peer group are not the same. And if you're not doing anything like that, you're slowly going to internally combust. I recognize this, like I started to feel like a caged animal that, and I want to erupt and I don't have any outlets, and, I'm not understanding all of this stuff. And for me, whenever I would go and I would hang out with horses, And look, it doesn't have to be horses, right? This is what I found. But you would go, you hang out with a horse or whatever, right? And other guys, and you start talking smack. It's locker room talk again, which is fun. Everybody talks shit to each other. And but you're doing these things, and we're all like, I didn't grow up with horses. I don't know all this stuff. So like, I'm trying to learn how to tie the knots and, lead a horse safely and all this other stuff. But that's where kind of you throw those like scientific interactions, those chemicals and endorphins and whatever else that's happening with the interaction with the horse, on top of the fact that now you're hanging around with a group of guys that are like-minded. And I use the word guys, please. This is not, I worked primarily in all male units, so women are obviously invited as well. But you're now in this community and it's self-healing. And then is it going to be 100%? Is it going to just fix you? No. I think step one of all of this is recognize that it's coming. Step two, put something in place to deal with it, right? Like if you don't do it, it's going to end tragically, right? Your life is going to start falling apart because, oh, by the way, you're also an emotional idiot, right? So
you're numb.
Well, that's seriously, like my only self-protection, whenever I get into like arguments, or whatever, is I would just shut the face off, stop talking, dead face. Well, that's not good, right? So do I still talk to, like behavioral health or a therapist and stuff? I do. And which is, I don't care, like, why I do it. And why I say this is because people are out there that are going through this exact thing going, holy shit, that sounds like me. Like, yeah. Are you talking to anybody? No. Right. Well, Military One Source is a great place to start if you haven't figured it out. Look what's around, your area and see what programs are available to you. My ultimate goal is, we've got a whole board now, and our goal is to create multiple collaborative partnerships with other military or veteran nonprofits of different genres, right? So when I talk to somebody and I'm like, well, hey, what are your interests? Well, hey, what, do you like the outsides? I've got a buddy that started a nonprofit where you hand build an acoustic guitar from scratch and you learn how to play it. There's other ones where you go learn woodworking, maybe you go learn how to cook, it doesn't matter, right? The whole point is you need to do something and be around individuals where you can vent a little bit at your own pace or never at all. The whole point is do something. So the Equine Valor Project, what is that? It's a safe haven for people to be able to go and just hang out with horses and learn some stuff. We're working some additional partnerships to have like the crawl, walk, run, and sprint kind of options with other programs, so that whether horse care for 90% of people will just go to, see, I self-corrected, that was good, right? I went from dudes to people. I get credit there, but
you're doing good. I got three thumbs up came up right there.
But while you're there, maybe horse care is for you. I mean, there's something about just out there and mucking stalls and feeding and grooming and leading them around the arena and doing some stuff, because you do. All of a sudden, you get locked in like Avatar on the whatever flying thing. You become like a little bit of a flight with this animal. He's just like locked in. He's just looking at you in the corner of his eye. It's like, oh, where are we going? Okay, let's go do that. That sounds cool.
Let's go.
But here's what I tell people, and this is where it's cool. When you get there, check in with yourself. How do you feel? The drive over here, you just left all that stuff at, home or whatever. I'm like, all I ask is you come to the farm, leave that at the barn or leave that at the gate, right? I don't want to hear about it. I don't care. Ain't no bitch session. Like, no, you come out here because you're messing with my cheek, right? I'm trying to find my guy over here or girl over here is trying to find their peace. You just come and interact with animals. And we hang out like 2 to 3 hours. You know, we call it horse activities. Like, hey, we're just going to have horse activities. And we'll do, you know, a multitude of things, you know, and then we start building people's skill set. And then, you know, there's going to be guys that want to learn how to ride, and then not only ride, but do some aggressive stuff. And those are the walk, the run, and the sprint levels that we're working to do. So, but here's what happens. You know, inevitably we have some sort of snack or water or, you know, whatever it's time to go. And if you got to leave, you leave. And I'm like, and I tell people, now you're driving away. Now I need you to check in with yourself and then tell me how you feel.
Definitely.
And that every person that goes out there is blown away. Now it's just a matter of making it a priority to go and just experience it, right? So, because if it was just you, guess what? You've got some events, you know, your wife has other plans. She thought you guys were going to do this, and then, you know, but you got to go break off for 3 hours.
Heads here.
That's going to start a whole thing, right? You bring your family out there. It doesn't cost anything. It's free. You bring your family out there. Now turn it into a family event. This is one of the coolest things, right? And I know I'm just rolling on. You haven't even asked the question.
I'm just absorbing.
So here's a perfect example. One of my son's friends who walks around, head on the phone all the time, headphones, just doing this nonstop. That's how he is. Just doing his, watching his little videos or whatever. And he needs to get 3 hours of volunteer work. I'm like, you know what? You can come out to the farm. But I'm like, hey, check it out. If I see your face in the phone one time, that resets your time. So I don't want to see it. He goes, yes, sir. I'm like, okay. And we go out there.
Yes, sir.
Blown away, right? Completely locked in with animals, came back, even like loved it and wants to go back. Like, what more do you need to hear?
Right.
Like, even if horses aren't for you, you know, like, do I eventually want to ride, you know, a horse across the prairies of Montana with a 30-30, you know, like Dances with Wolves styles, or, you know, lassoing a, I don't know, you know, I don't know. I'm pretty
buffalo jacket on.
Yeah. But is it possible? It is. Like, there's so many things out there, and I will tell you one of the interesting things about, once I've kind of dipped my toe into this, you know, veteran care genre of life, right? It's just kind of opens up more doors and more doors and more doors. So now, I mean, here I am. I don't know you from Adam, right? But one of my close buddies that I served with, you know, and he's like, and he apparently mentioned, you know, what we got going on. You do some cyber stalking. You're like, okay. So it's amazing, and it's you know, where does it go now, right? I don't know. We're super excited. If you've started following me on social media, like, you've probably seen some of the shorts of the videos that we have going on. So there's a couple of different videos, and I make some shorts off of it, but we're getting ready to release a larger one. It's a 9-minute video with Kyle Maddox is the guy that filmed it. Interesting story, was in this mission, you know, chaos, whatever. If you've ever heard of Ryan Davis, he's a ranger from 175, lost both legs and an arms. He was on my aircraft. You know, we should have died about 13 times. We didn't. We hence have bonded. He's like a little brother to me now. Whenever I found the horses, I mentioned it to him. You know, like, hey, if nothing else, just like go out there. And Kyle had lost his brother to PTSD. He was a Marine, lost him in 2010. Didn't know any of this. And had heard, you know, I guess from the lady that from the first barn had heard and connected with him. He wanted to do something, but he didn't want to make it about his brother. So me and Ryan went out there, and I'm like, you know what? Come on out. We had no script, no idea what we were doing or anything. We shot this video in 3 hours, and no kidding, it's like Discovery Channel quality.
Nice.
Well, we fast forward to the transition to the new barn, bless you, and You know, we've been talking to you like, man, we need to shoot a new update. So we shot another one, and it is next level. And so I've been doing kind of like a drip campaign as we're trying to solidify the day at which we're going to do this like public viewing. You know, we're trying to do a thing downtown and, you know, kind of draw some attention to that. You know, we're trying to raise money to buy a couple of larger horses for the veterans. So,
awesome. You
know, the Gypsy Vanners are good, but like, you know, I'm 260 plus, right?
You're small, guys.
Yeah, you know. So, you know, we need to get a couple of larger horses just so everybody can ride. And they're obviously unique in personality, unique in like mental makeup. You can't have some horse of chaos that's wanting to kick everybody that comes around it, right? So it's a very special horse. You know, retired police horses are traditionally a good genre, you know, because they draft horses. But we're just waiting for the right horses to come up. We're going to raise some money to do that. And then we'll just let this baby keep going. So now I'll let you talk.
Thank you so much. And I'm Rich LaMonica, host of the show. Everyone, Danny just gave us a great intro to him, the Equine Valor Project, and of course his mortgage side hustle. I guess that would be now. It's kind of his main hustle, but now everything becomes one hustle as you go forward.
Right.
You come at this with a different perspective than most veterans, of course. You were an E, then you were an O, then you were a WO. So you know all aspects of the whole chain of military. You know all the suffering as being that young private in Ranger Regiment, then to being an officer, young officer doing the same fight as you were as a young enlisted, and then going up to become a warrant officer where you can relax a little more and do more fun things and get away with a lot more and do things differently. But you've seen every aspect of the military, and that's something anyone that comes to the ranch, to the barn, they can't tell you anything you haven't seen because you've seen it all from every aspect. So that's an awesome thing to have. And for me, horses, we have a love-hate relationship. I've fallen off them a few times. But they come back to get you, and like they're laughing at you when you fall off, and they come get you and they look at you, hey, idiot, come back up. So I got back up and rode down the mountain with the fella. But I love them, but you know, sometimes you fall. I was stationed in Alabama, just in Anniston, Alabama, 2005, 2008. And my daughter, she loves horses. There's a lady there, she had them, and she'd go through everything you were saying, from the taking care of them, brushing them, taking care of them, bathing them, saddling them. I could just see her eyes light up and her joy, and just see her be able to escape everything that she went through in life to get on that horse. So I know it works. And now, of course, we have questions in the chat. I'll let them come out to you first. This one is from El Capitan 34. How does equine therapy help veterans and first responders dealing with PTSD? Thank you, El Capitan.
Yeah, so I think part of it is the fact that like how I had described the new synapses that are happening in the brain. Like, here's the other thing. Whenever you're grooming a horse, you can talk to it. You can whisper to it, right? Most people keep this stuff in the deep, dark secret, right? Deep down on the inside. And you go and you hang out with these horses. Once you get in tune with one and you're jiving, here's the coolest thing, right? And you've probably seen it, you had no idea what was going on. When you're grooming a horse and he's going to get all relaxed, his head's going to go down. And they start doing this, what's called chew and cud. And their mouths start going like this because they're jiving with you, right? They're super grooving, and they're like, oh. And you're getting all of this. And man, I'm like, where else if you could walk over and you could touch a battery, right? And you could just recharge your mental health. Would you go touch that battery?
Yeah.
Yeah. You damn right.
If you told me not to, I would.
Exactly. You're going to turn into a different person. So is it going to fix anything? No. I will give everybody that's listening the advice of this is you should look at it just like working out, taking medication, things like that. If you stop, it's going to come back. You have to keep coming. Is it going to, make the demons go away 100%? No, but it's sure going to quiet them down for a while. And then, I have a buddy that I used to work with that I introduced to horses. And after that first weekend, he goes there every day now.
Wow.
Every day. And because guess what? Horses got to get fed in the morning. They got to get fed in the evening. They've got to get exercise. There's so many things that require attention with a horse, right? And you're like, well, Danny, do you want a branch? No, because I do not have time for all of those things and life and family and business and whatever else. Would I eventually like to do that? Yes, I think eventually we want to have our own property, but right now we have a great partnership with the barn that we have. Until we're financially stable, we will go. But like, does it fix PTSD? No, but I mean, I made a post literally about this. Therapy dogs, right? Therapy dog. Well, guess what? Science. The science, I'm going to piss some dog people off because we're dog people too. A horse actually causes you to create larger amounts of serotonin than like a therapy dog. Somebody just crashed. What? This is bullshit.
Eyes.
Yeah. So is it going to fix you? No. But is it going to help? Yes. But it could be anything to quiet your brain. That's what you need to do. Stop struggling and stop fighting.
See, I look at the PTSD dog, therapy dogs. They're like a Band-Aid. They just cover something for a moment of time, really, and then it becomes a kind of like a crutch. You have to have it in order to live now, but you really don't. You need other things like what you're doing. Give them an out. Do an out and find that release. Bring your dog with you. Your dog will probably get a release too at the barn because they get to run around with horses now. As long as they don't get kicked in the face, it's fine.
That's right. That's right.
But the dog is a Band-Aid. The horse would be more of the treatment. So I think that's
what else do you got?
I got this from James, just James. What parallels do you see between mentoring in the military and mortgage coaching? Thanks, James.
There you go. That's a great question. I will tell you, I didn't realize until I got into the business. I thought this. With retirement and disability, pretty much life is being predominantly funded, right? As long as I'm not doing anything exuberant, like we're good. And I realized, man, if you were just a good dude and you just could take care of people, it's literally doing monthly counseling with soldiers, right? It's coach, teach, mentoring. It's exactly that. And here's the other thing. The parallels with mission planning is ridiculous because here you are and you want to buy a home. Now, what route do I need to get there to make that happen? And I because I have no filter, I don't do sales. I'm blunt force trauma. If I do a soft pull on your credit and your credit is, beat up a bit, I'm like, have you done any preparation before, having this conversation, or is this just looking for guidance? Like, no preparation. I'm like, okay. But now because I've done a soft pull in your credit, I can look at your credit. I can give you kind of a plan of action. Hey, look, you've got these obstacles right now that we need to attack. Okay. Whether it's manage this revolving credit, get these credit limits but it's totally mentorship. And then here's the other thing. When you get somebody a pair of keys, especially that had to work for it, you just had had one of your privates, get, graduate the NCO Academy and just you're getting ready to make it an E5. You're like, how cool is that, right? So there's so many parallels to it. But here's what I will tell you. Understand, in this business, there's not a lot of mentorship. If you have an interest, like reach out to Rich, like he'll give you my contact information. We can have a conversation. I'm totally an open door.
Awesome. Thanks, James. Just James. We got a couple more in here. Both are about the VA loans, actually. So we'll go
perfect.
First. At Make Moves 4, what's one major myth about VA loans you'd like to bust?
Perfect. I'll give you 3.
Nice.
So first, VA loans require no down payment. All right. And you're like, okay, well, what do you mean? So traditionally you hear, people think 20% down payment for a house, not required. With a VA loan, because it's a government-backed loan, you can do a 0% down payment for this, which honestly it gets better pricing than a normal loan, which is kind of a cheater code. Here's another one. Is there a limit to the VA loan amount? Okay. And this is an educational thing. So the nation's VA max entitlement in 2025 is $806,500. So if you don't have a house on your and against your entitlement, you could literally buy a $4 million house with no down payment. They changed the rule in 2019. If you have a house, now you have to balance how much entitlement you have left so that you can reuse your entitlement, because there's the other one. People think I can only use it once. Absolutely not. If you're not incorporating it into your PCS plan, if you do it right, using that 806-500, you have to, when you buy a house with your VA loan, you move into it. You get primary residence financing with no down payment and the best interest rate possible. You have to live in it for 12 months or make 12 payments, really. So you close this month, your first payment doesn't happen 2 calendar months later. You make 12 payments. After that's done, that next month, it could turn into a rental property. Or you could just live in it, whatever you PCS. So say you bought a $250,000 house. And then you move to your next duty station. But you're doing this all with a plan of accumulating rental properties. You PCS, that house stays against your entitlement, $250, deduct it from 806-500. You PCS, you go buy another one, $250 or $300, whatever. Now you've got how much tied up? $550, right? $550, yeah. So you still got left over. You do the same thing. You either live in it, you can churn it, or you wait till you PCS, you do it again. And then you go buy another one. Now you're in your third house. Whenever you're done with that, if you've used up all your entitlement, you've had the ability to accumulate three primary residence homes on VA loans with no down payment on the best interest rate possible. And now they're rental properties. That's called the VA mortgage life hack.
Look at that.
Record.
You didn't even have to pay for that, guys. You got this for free. And I said guys too, just like you did earlier. That means for everybody.
Yeah.
And a question I always get is about the down payment portion. I know you can use the whole number, and like for if you bought a $400,000 home, you still have 400 plus to get in with the VA loan. And even if you go to that second house, you don't have to do another down payment, right?
Nope, that's correct. So here's whenever a down payment would be required. Say you've bought 2 houses at $300,000 a piece.
Okay.
Right, and you've got 2 and change left, but you buy a $300,000 house. That excess over now the county limit. So you need to make sure that wherever you live, you need to know what the county limit for the VA mortgage is, because it might come down just a little bit. But whenever you're factoring that additional overage, that overage requires a 25% down payment, which sounds horrible, but honestly, it's traditionally not that much. So that's why you want to work with a dude that knows this stuff and can like coach, teach, mentor you, because like I love to walk the dog with people. And some people just like want to just be transactional, and they just want to like, let me know what I need and just get it done. Okay. But most people do not, especially not veterans. And I primarily, my niche, my whole thing is VA loans. And I'm on a team with, I have an entire team that we're building of all retired and disabled veterans, because guess what? I don't want it to be about money. I want my team, and I say my team, it's the team that I'm on. But like our goal is be a good human and coach them, and your business will grow. But that's the focus, because guess what? And this is where it's cool. I've now blended veteran care into my work, because the guys that are on my team are now on a team with like-minded individuals, all with the same kind of purpose. Now they've got a jersey on, and we have morning calls, and we talk smack, and what are you doing? And you kind of give them like, hey man, this should be your focus today. Try to think about this, like where you at with this file? Hey, I don't know what's going on with this. What should I do? So literally, it's nothing but mentoring. So all right, let's go. Let's do another one.
That's awesome. And I'm sure in those morning calls you get that military banter in there too, like we talked about earlier, like locker room stuff. So that's awesome.
And it is me. Like I'll tell you, I come off the top turnbuckle all day long.
so you can go crazy in that one. That's awesome. That's like our office is the same way. It's all retired dudes, retired dudes, and we just talk trash all day long until a customer comes in, a client comes in, and it's like we're saints and such for about 8 minutes, and then it's over.
Yeah.
This is from @Liz and Joe. If starting a business and needing space, can you use a VA loan to get a building for the business? Thanks, Liz and Joe.
There is a rule called dual purpose. So you could buy a building but understand a VA loan is only for your primary residence. So for that to be worked into the situation, you would have to live where you work, and you can't live on the base floor. You have to live above. So say you bought a building that has like an apartment above it, but you got a storefront on the bottom, that works. So, but no, like you can't buy a house 2 states away using your VA loan, and you have to occupy that house within 60 days after closing.
Oh, wow.
And if you don't do it, it's mortgage fraud and you can get in trouble.
Ooh. Yeah, don't get in trouble.
So many golden nuggets.
That's another golden nugget right there. Keep you out of jail.com. That's good. That's another mentorship you just got.
Yep.
Danny, I've been dropping your links in the chat as we're going as well.
Good. Okay.
The UMortgage loan and UMortgage.com, and then of course Equine Valor Project. Are those the best ways for the audience to get in contact with you?
So if you honestly, probably the easiest way, and where you could kind of like cyber stalk me a little bit, is go on Instagram. I'm Danny Archer _ your mortgage guy. And then I'm also on Facebook, Daniel Archer, I think it is. It's all tied together. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on TikTok, which is dumb, but you know what? There's people everywhere. So you know what? I just post. But I will tell you, like, because here's how I do it. Because I do a lot of talking head videos. So if you go in and you troll me, and that's why I'll tell you go on Instagram. And now here's a quick story about the business.
All right.
During my transition, the market sucked, right? It was post-COVID interest rates. They were now up into the 5s and the 6s. And I'm a new guy. And you get your license, they tell you, you go and you kind of like try to make friends with realtors or whatever. Maybe they'll give you a referral. Well, I mean, I tried that for a bit, but like, I'm not taking people out to lunch. I'm not passing out foot massages for business. Like, no, this is not happening. So, and I did that my first year. And then I started at a local business, but I realized because my network is big, I needed to get to a more national level where I could support my network. So I changed companies, and I ended up on a team with a guy named Jeff Fitzer. And so he's all over social media. It was just the luck that I got there. It was just kind of like the universe forcing me to kind of go. And that's where I learned how to do social media stuff. And, as I'm struggling through the business and trying to like educate people and, hey, I'm here, you can ask me questions. I realized that if I get in front of the realtor. So in April last year, I started posting. Like I finally listened, because at first, with my job and career, I couldn't have a social media presence. I'd never posted anything. I didn't do it, right? And now you're telling me you need to get on social media. I'm like, nah. So I'd sit there like all pissy, like in his classes, like, this is dumb. I'm never doing that. Like, and I'm going to be blunt. I'm like, I would say this. I'm like, you want me to take a picture of my morning dump, say it's going to be a great day? Nah, that ain't me, right? Like, yeah, you're like, dude, that's dark. But so,
usually is the
but then he's like, Danny, are you a good person? Do you think you're a good loan officer? I'm like, yeah. He's like, do you want to take care of your people? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you got to tell them. Then I realized if I posted, I was a safe haven and somebody could ask me a question.
Yep.
And so I leaned into it. And so in April of last year, I started consistently posting, and now I have over 360 reels.
Nice.
And yeah, and because now, guess what? You Google me, I'm there. You're going to see me. And so that gives you confidence. And now you troll, you hop in, you watch someone. And what I'll like to do is like, you ask me a question where you want to do like a loan application or whatever. I'm like, first, we're going to do an interview. We're going to talk through it. Let me see what you got going on. And that's my ability. That's my time to sit down, get to know the person, see what their situation is, and then see, because I don't look at just this. You're like this. Well, I want to buy land and I want to build a house. So I go, okay, well, let's talk about that. Because I know we're Americans and people want to live in a house in 30 days.
Yes.
Right. You might want to go do that, but that's 9 to 12 months of stress and unknown. Like, it's just utter chaos waiting for this house while you're squatting in somebody's house, living in a camper, double living expenses, whatever. So I just make sure that they understand what they're signing up for, I don't know. I love it, because I get, and honestly, I still have soldiers that call me and ask me questions about like career stuff. You know, it's because I turned into, you know, that old dude that just shoots it straight, no bullshit. So I love that. Like that's why I do the business and I love it. So,
and it kind of goes back to what I said earlier. You're that unicorn who was you wore all three uniforms. So any question that a soldier can ask you, you can answer because you've been in all situations. Every situation
with no agenda.
Yeah. And you're out
if you
now,
don't
so
use
you're
me.
free. Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the other thing. Because I won't beg you for business. If you don't work with me, I don't care. Right. I'm not here to just give knowledge bombs away for free, but because my time is worth something also. But I'm not begging people, like, you know, because I will tell you right now, if you're PCS and you don't know who you're using or who you're going to use, and you blind pick somebody off the internet, here's what I attack: the blind pick off the internet. Right. On the new team that I'm on, we can support 47 states in the United States.
Wow.
And so every state, the military base, I'm trying to build a network of realtors that are trusted, vetted. You know, like I have somebody moving to Colorado Springs, somebody going to Fort Bragg. I have somebody going to Fort Benning or Fort Moore, or Stewart, you know, Fort Campbell, like Fort Cavazo. Like I'm not very savvy on all the new names, but I slipped in a couple, proud of it. But then I find a realtor and I cyber stalk, and then I call them and I go, "Hey Nick, I see you're a realtor, you know, in El Paso, Texas." They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "So you were a veteran?" Like, you know, I was whatever. And then I ask you about your business, and I'm like, "Well, are you looking to try to grow? Are you expanding? Are you at capacity? Are you part-time or a full-time?" I grill you, and they do not like it, but I tell them, I'm like, "Check it out. I have a client that's going to be moving there. And he's going to be pre-approved whenever I bring you in. If I vouch for you, this is family. I treat this like the mafia, right? I ruthlessly protect my clients. Like I eat cost of interest rate without them even knowing it, so I can get them the best interest rate out of my commission. I don't care.
That's
right. But if I'm doing that, and I call you, and you take advantage of them, oh yeah. Right. So like there's buy-in to this, right? Like you do this, we're dancing. If I give you a referral, we're dancing. Now we're going back and forth, because I need this person to be a repeat offender, because guess what? I have multiple people that are going to be making that move.
Right.
I make a post, somebody's like, "Oh man, hey," and this is what happens. I make a post, I get 1 to 3 people. Shoot me a message. "Hey Danny, I had a question about this. Can we connect?" Sure. And if you're out there and you have that exact thing, connect with me on social media. I think Nick, did I give you my blank card with all my contact information?
Yes. You sent it to me.
If you can, you post that thing in the chat too. I don't care.
Okay.
Anybody that's out there that has a question, you're just trying to figure it out. Here's what I don't want. You're on the couch with your loved one trying to figure it out, and you're making all of your decisions based on assumptions. Right? You can call me, we can figure it out, and now you can make a decision based off of facts and knowledge. So that's my thing. And everybody on the team, I was lucky enough to connect during my transition through the business with a guy named Patton Gade, who's one of the top VA guys in the United States. And he was on he's building a vehicle, right? And he needed an army, and I was building an army that needed a vehicle. And I was talking to a realtor in Fort Bragg for a person that was going to move up there, doing exactly what I just talked. And I have software where I can look and see who she's been working with. Let me see. Is there a position for me? Is she already locked in with the person? Because I'm not trying to break anybody up, but whatever, right? And I see Patton Gade's name, and I'm like, and in June last year, like collectively last year, he did 360 VA loans.
Wow.
360.
Jesus.
Okay. And I think I did collectively last year 32 or something like that, you know. And I'm just fat, because now I'm like, what system does this guy have in place where he can work with that many clients? You know, traditionally you got to talk to 10 to 20 clients before you get a closed loan.
Right.
So if you're doing multiple loans, that's a lot of phone conversations, because a lot of people, they need time, right? And And so I was talking to her, and I had to ask her, I'm like, hey, who is this Patton Gade guy? She's like, oh, he's like one of the top VA guys in the United States. He's a West Point dude. He's a vet. Like, you should totally shoot him a message. He'll talk to you. I was like, what? Well, the next morning, I'm in my house. I get up early. I'm drinking my coffee in the dark on the couch, just pissing off on my phone. And I look him up on LinkedIn. I shoot him a connect, and I'm like, hey, Patton, because now at this point, I see that this business can be veteran care, right? It's new purpose and direction and forced accountability. And, you know, you can do all this, and you can, you know, it's commission only. So guess what? You better have some financial, you know, stability going on. But this is what I'm doing. I'm building this team. You know, I have tons of questions. Well, he immediately replies, grab a coffee, let's have a phone call. I'm like, holy shit. So we get on the call. We talked for about 45 minutes to an hour. And, you know, he's asking if you know, I was looking to pivot. And at the time I wasn't, because, you know, I was working the other team and the other company, we were building something. And then in December, we had another conversation because pricing was tough, and I had some closings that I was trying to get done. And the interest rates, I'm like, Patton, I need you to price these things. I might just flip them all to you. Like, I don't, like, it feels like there's got to be a way to get a better rate. And he did. And then, you know, and he beat me by a ton. And he's like, so what are you doing? He's like, how much money are you going to make on that? I'm like, I probably wasn't making barely anything. He's like, so you're not making any money. You're not giving the best interest rate. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, it's a great question. He's like, why don't you just join my team, and that won't be a problem anymore? And I'm like, I mean, I know his numbers. I'm like, there's no way this is possible. Well, he is. And he's like, no, I'm absolutely. It's always been an option. I just didn't want to pressure you. He's like, what do you think? I'm like, well, I've got other guys joining my team that are getting their license, you know, post service. He's like, no, I want all of you. He's like, I see how how you are. And I need that. And I will tell you, I joined right after my December month, and my business is just going boom, boom, because now guess what? I'm licensed in 10 states personally, but I can support 47 within my team. And I can run that file, you know, in Patton's name, and we can still help so many. And I will tell you, it is powerful. And to be able to then now mesh that with my, you know, I don't even want to call it a passion project, you know, with equine therapy, but to blend all that together now, man, it's now I can give the best, I can provide the best, and I can also do that mental check-in where they're at. See, you know, because here's another one, the Veteran Spouse Support Group, our network. Because I just made a post about this the other day. So my wife got into this, and she's now a peer counselor for it, because we found throughout this, there's tons of things for the veteran, but there's not a lot for the spouse. And I'm going to look on my phone so I can be correct with the website. And I do want you to put that in because I don't want to say it wrong. And I'm probably going to have to throw on my glasses real quick. So,
oh man,
pardon me.
Not the readers. Come on.
Yeah. Welcome to aging. Like, oh man, like realize this is all fuss. There it is. And so
it's in font 75 right now.
VeteranSpouseNetwork.org. And the problem with these glasses is this is glare, so I just take it off. VeteranSpouseNetwork.org. Drop that into the thing. If you know a veteran, you know a spouse, you know a significant other that's struggling, they can go there, and it's literally like peer-to-peer counseling with like a curriculum and guidance and some training. So it's not some academic that has never even thought of living that lifestyle. They have all lived that lifestyle. And then come to find out, just like how every veteran goes through the same stuff, every veteran's house goes through the same.
Yes.
So.
All right, we got one last question from the audience here, and then we'll go to our final three for you. This is from Hero of Kelly, I guess a Kelly's Heroes fan. When you go for a second VA home loan, does the original amount count against you or just what you owe on that loan?
Well, that's a good question. So it's going to go off the original purchase price. So the only way that you could readjust is if you did a VA IRRRL, you did a refinance. But here's the thing. If you're one of the lucky ones that refinanced to say 2 to 3% whenever interest rates dropped down when we had zombies walking through the public, right? During COVID. If at all possible, you want to keep that interest rate intact as you move to the next. If you're over, like depending on what that loan amount is, it is going to cost you because you're going to keep that on your entitlement. So, and if you have questions, seriously, just reach out. I'll walk the dog with you.
Awesome. Thanks.
But it can, remember that whole position is if you max out your entitlement and there's overage, that overage is going to require a 25% down payment. So you want to use some finesse and some key planning whenever you're looking to do this. But that if you're going to rent that first property with that low interest rate, it's going to cash cow for you. It's easy day. And I can work through all that stuff because I love it's problem solving is all it is. It's chaos, right?
In the chaos, that's what we do. That's what we were trained to do. Yes. Work in the chaos, work in the gray. Danny, it's been great. This hour has flown by. I've learned a lot. I know the audience has with their questions. Before we let people go, we usually ask them how to get in contact with them. We've done that already, but we also ask, what's 3 things the audience can start doing tomorrow to make them better humans?
Okay, good. First, you have to truly look inside yourself and do some self stuff, like self-health, right? Self-healing. If you don't self-recognize the fact of where your problems are and be honest about it, you know, I will tell you, I used to do like ultra marathons and freaking CrossFit. And there was a point in my time, especially when I was around 40, I was doing it at the same time, like an idiot.
Yep.
And now, because I'm mentally 1,000 miles per hour, but guess what? Now my body hurts and I get frustrated. And you get out, right? And you now can't do heavy squats or deadlifts, or bench pressing sucks because all your joints hurt, right? And I got into some funk. So you want to know why I'm 260 plus? Because guess what? I stopped working out consistently. Now I'm trying to get back on the bump, right? I mean, I like bullshit, right? I made a post about dad tax yesterday with, Easter, like happy Easter, but go get that dad tax. Just stare at your kid with your hand out, right? Like, come on, cough it up. Give me some of them Starburst jelly beans. So you got to attack that. All right. So find some help. Military One Source is a good start point. See what programs are available in your area and go get involved. It doesn't have to be about you and your boo-boos. Go with the purpose of trying to help other people, and you will get that help. Like for me, yeah, I started a program, but I started a program because I'm going to be in the program at the same time. But I also, I don't want to be the person, but now, like, look at me. I'm this guy talking about it all everywhere. And then you got to take action, right? You got to hold yourself accountable and you got to take action. If you do it, it's great to talk about dieting until you don't diet, right? Whatever your drive is, whether it's religion or it's not religion or it's just, sense of community that's lost, get plugged in some capacity. Talk with like-minded people with like trauma, backgrounds and whatnot, and you will get some relief. But I will tell you what doesn't work: sitting quietly at your house by yourself, alone with a bottle of Jack.
Yes, definitely does not work. Danny, thanks for spouting knowledge off to the Misfit Nation today. It's been a great 1 hour chat. Really, it flew by. Like I said, if you ever want to just throw us a 1 minute video, we can put it into our intro or outro so we get you more visuals and more stuff out there for you as well. Thanks
Absolutely.
Again for all the information today.
You're welcome. I hope you guys, whoever was out listening out there in TV land, I hope you enjoyed this.
Outstanding. Everyone, we'll see you Tuesday night with the Tuesday crew. Be good, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling. And don't make that final decision. Call somebody. Have a good night. Good day. See you later, Danny.
See you. Thank you.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling. Because